Hey Internet, welcome to Worldview Everlasting, your favorite YouTube addiction. I have been plagued by the reality behind Proverbs 29:1. He who is often reproved, yet stiffens his neck, will suddenly be broken beyond healing. Now, I can see where this is going to go wrong already. I have often been plagued by the reality behind Proverbs 29:1. What reality? We'll come back to that. Because, like Paul, I don't do what I should do, and I do what I should not do. That means you're a Christian. Actually, it's all human beings are like that, but that you know it, that means you're a Christian. It doesn't mean you're a greater sinner. It means you're a greater believer, because you believe in your own sin. You see it, and you don't self-justify it anymore. You call it what it is. Then at what point does Proverbs 29:1 kick in? Proverbs 29:1 never kicks in. It's not like you have Romans 7, and then if you don't change this, Proverbs 29:1 kicks in. That's not the way the Bible works. That's not the way the Proverbs work at all, but it's certainly not the way the Bible works. 29:1 does not kick in. The reality behind it is not some ultimatum at the end of your life. Proverbs explain general truths. They are statements that help us understand how the world works. And this one's really great. I actually love it. I love all the Proverbs because they're so eye-opening. But they're not laws. They're not laws. They're not warnings as in like you better do this or else. Not quite. It's not going to kick in at the end of Romans 7. Romans 8 kicks in at the end of Romans 7. We just did that like 3 weeks ago. Dear heavens, what gospel. There is now no condemnation for you who are in Christ Jesus. That's what kicks in. I do what I do not want to do. I do not do what I should do. There is no condemnation for you because you're in Christ Jesus. That's what kicks in permanently. He who is often reproved yet stiffens his neck will suddenly be broken beyond healing. Okay, you want to know what this means? It means that a person who's stubborn is eventually going to bump their face on something. That's it. That's it. A person who's stubborn and says, the fire won't burn me, the fire won't burn me, the fire won't burn me, they're going to get burned. And this is not like a permanent law for Christianity. This is just a general truth about the way the world works. It's really valuable, right, to understand that stubbornness isn't helpful. Yeah, and that's it. That's all it wants you to know. Stubbornness isn't helpful. To be stiff-necked, to refuse to turn your head and look at a new perspective. I guess in these days we'd call it to be closed-minded, like a progressive liberal is, and they won't listen to anybody who's not a progressive liberal. To be closed-minded is not helpful to having your eyes open. That's all it's saying. That's all it's saying right there. Can we apply this spiritually? Yes. So the unbeliever who in his unbelief hears law and gospel and yet refuses to believe that the cross of Christ both preaches his sin and the justification of his sin in Christ on the last day, when Jesus comes like a thief in the night and rolls up the earth like a scroll and makes the judgment, he's going to be broken beyond healing. But it's not because he did the wrong thing too many times. It's because he refused to believe in the gospel. But see, I'm taking that proverb, I'm applying it to the gospel and how it really applies to the gospel, but it still isn't like this law that the Christians have to live by or else. And if that's what you're finding in the Bible, in your general, as you're reading it, you are reading it through the veil of Moses. Get the veil of Moses off your face, right? The veil of Moses, that the opinion of the law, that everything there is something for you to do. Wisdom is so much better than being something for you to do. The Ten Commandments are so much better than being something for you to do. The Ten Commandments are things that are good. They define what goodness is. They define how the world works in the best possible way. This proverb, this wisdom here is describing how the world works in the worst possible way. How our sin just generally actually works. Don't you find this again and again? That you put your foot down and you're stubborn about something and it just makes things worse? That's all it's saying. And by acknowledging that truth, like our eyes are open, stubbornness is bad, we gradually start to actually change how we behave. Yeah? But if you don't really understand the distinction between law and gospel, you're just going to be blind looking into it. And all you're going to find is the law, and all the law is going to do is going to condemn you, which is why you got to go back to Romans 8 a little more often. There is now no condemnation for you who are in Christ. Freak out on that verse for like 3 weeks. And I think that's the only verse in the Bible. Every time you're feeling guilty, go back to Romans 8, verse 1. Because what you're doing is you're treating these verses like they're the only verses in the Bible. There is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ. Well, am I in Christ? Go back to Romans 6. Do you not know that if you've been baptized into Christ, you've been baptized into his death? Oh, I guess you're in Christ then. Stop fixating on the law verses. You got the veil of Moses over your eyes. Uber bad, right? Like you're reading and you're underlining just the law verses that accuse you. Stop it. It's just going to hurt. Until you've learned to rightly distinguish law and gospel, I want you to highlight Romans 8, verse 1. Just that one right there. Just stop. The rest of it's true, but just fixate on that part there for a little bit. Fixate on that. Hear what I'm saying? Rock on. Lord, as a propitiation.